Hi, I'm Douglas Mason, President and CEO of Rainy Mountain Royalty Corp., RMO, on the TSX Venture Exchange. Rainy Mountain Royalty Corp. Is a Canadian-based mineral exploration project generator. The company currently holds multiple property interests in Ontario with joint venture partners and is seeking further joint venture partners for other drill-ready properties in our portfolio. For more information, please visit our website at rmroyalty.com or call me at 604-922-2030.
Welcome to the Goddard Report. Comments made on the Goddard Report and TalkDigitalNetwork.com are an expression of opinion only. Here is Jim Goddard.
My guest is investigative reporter Spencer Fernando. You can find his articles at SpencerFernando.com. Welcome back to the show.
Good to be here.
Spencer, something controversial happening with the Commons Free Speech Committee. Why don't they want to be on video?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, it's pretty ironic for a free speech committee. I mean, all the MPs on it voted to shut down the video feed. The audio feed was still going, but they shut the video feed down. So apparently that's how the politicians like to talk about free speech, by not showing the video to people.
Maybe their hair and makeup people didn't show up on time.
Maybe. There's not really a good reason for it. They're supposed to be working for us, not telling us what we can and can't see. I mean, the House of Commons is supposed to be it's for us. It's for the people, apparently. But they don't seem too interested in letting us see what's going on.
Well, there's all this talk of censoring this, censoring that, censoring this website. When you start throwing censorship around all over the place, what does that tell you about your rights to free speech?
Yeah, well, it tells you the politicians don't really respect it too much. I mean, it's concerning because one of the things, it's interesting that this happens on the anniversary of the Tiananmen Square massacre. I mean, all that stuff is censored in China. I mean, their communist government has said, oh, we don't think that the people are allowed to see this or talk about this. So, one of the things that's supposed to separate, Western democratic free countries is, we respect the intelligence of our citizens and say, you know what? They're allowed to say what they want. They're allowed to share their views, whether it's controversial or not, and we trust the people will make good decisions and things will work out. We don't want politicians making those choices for people. But it seems a lot of people want to go in the other direction and kind of move more towards an authoritarian model.
And, of course, when they want social media sites to limit free speech, who makes that decision and what's their definition of proper speech and hate speech?
Well, yeah, that's the whole problem with it. Everyone's got a different definition. I mean, Trudeau and the Liberals are talking about stopping misinformation, right? Oh, you can't lie on the internet, no misinformation. Well, I mean, Trudeau and the Liberals, they keep calling Andrew Scheer a bigot and a racist. So, that a lot of people would look at that, including myself, and say, well, that's a lie, that's total misinformation. There's no evidence he is. And they're going around saying that, and they're putting that on social media, and they're attacking him. So, by their own rules, you think they should be kicked off the internet for spreading misinformation. And that's the problem, right? When you start to say, oh, this is allowed, this isn't allowed, it just depends who's in power. They get to ban everyone they disagree with. I think that's why it's better to just have freedom of speech. There's going to be some terrible things on the internet. There's going to be some offensive things said. But, people have the right to share their opinions. And if someone shares a terrible opinion, then you respond with your opinion and you push back against them.
Well, that's always been the thing that counters hate speakers, is that a lot more people will come out and say that was improper or attacked a certain group of people, and you'll be censured for it. I mean, there is a penalty for free speech. If you speak out against something that's popular, people are going to let you know, and they may not let you into their store because they don't like what you said. But you have the right to say it.
Exactly. I mean, that's what a free society is supposed to be about, competition of ideas. And so, yeah, I mean, it's, you got even some hateful group goes on march or something, well, then a whole bunch of other people, a much bigger group, goes and counter marches against them. It sends a message that we don't agree with that, we don't want that here. And I think that's the best way to send for society, or for people to send a message about what they support or what they don't support. But when the government starts stepping in and saying, oh, no, this opinion's not allowed, or the problem is it always starts off with them wanting to ban something that basically everyone agrees is offensive. But once they ban that, then you're saying, okay, well, now the ability to ban information exists. And the way politicians think is, they see their poll numbers go down. Oh, we got to hold on to power. It's so important. and then they start expanding their power bit by bit, banning more people on, banning their opponents, and it's just dangerous once we get started on that road.
I can't remember what movie he said it in, but John Wayne, the old cowboy actor, saying, I may not agree with what you say, but I'll fight to the death to defend your right to say it.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever happened to that? Isn't that why we hit the beaches of D-Day 75 years ago?
Yeah, you'd think so, but looks like a lot of people have forgotten that, and now they're all, if you're offended by something, it has to be banned. So, yeah, I mean, it's quite concerning the way things are going.
Well, just because you're offended doesn't necessarily mean it's bad either.
Well, yeah, I mean, the whole point of free speech is that you have the right to offend people.
Well, I mean, those pictures they put on cigarette packs are pretty offensive, but they're there for a reason.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
The Aboriginal Women's Report about missing and murdered Aboriginal women, over 200 recommendations. Is that too much for anybody to really handle? Should they have kept it down to 10 or less?
Well, yeah, fewer probably would have been better. I mean, when you start getting up to 200, you're basically dictating a massive amount of government policy, which, again, I mean, a government commission is not supposed to be dictating a massive amount of policy. It's political parties who, through the process of members and public debate and discussion and elections, that's where policy is set. I'm sure some of the recommendations can be helpful. But, 200, I mean, that's quite a lot.
Now, the word genocide used, of course, meaning there was somebody going out to wipe out a specific race of people. Was somebody going out to wipe out a specific race of people?
Yeah, I think the issue is, I mean, even Romeo Dallaire has been pushing back on the genocide word in the report. And, I mean, the problem is the report says that a lot of the perpetrators of the violence were indigenous men in terms of the violence against women. So it's tough to somehow square that and say, many of the women killed were killed by indigenous men, and this is also a colonial Canadian government genocide. I mean, I definitely don't think genocide was the right word to use. And I think the unfortunate part is by using that word, it's made the whole debate now about just that word, really distracting from maybe parts of the report that are important. So yeah, I think that was definitely a mistake. You see people saying, because terrible stuff happened and they feel terrible about it, which people should. I mean, terrible stuff has happened and it's very sad. But that feeling doesn't mean that you just get to say that it's a genocide, right? I mean, those are two different things. And I don't think that's going to work out too well for the report. I think that's where everyone's focusing on, and it's really become a big distraction.
Well, I would call it systemic abuse and ignorance, but not genocide. For
sure. I mean, again, if you look genocides around the world, you're talking about massive amounts of people systematically, murdered, like a Holocaust, for example, a deliberate government effort to purposefully murder a massive amount of people of a specific race. And then if you compare that to, talking about Canada, where, again, in many cases, the report itself says Indigenous men are behind many of the deaths of Indigenous women. Again, very different.
We'll have more with Spencer Fernando right after this.
Avon Resources Limited is a gold exploration company with significant projects in British Columbia, Saskatchewan, and the Yukon. Trading on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol ABN, and the pink symbol ABN-AF. Surrounded by world-class gold deposits and mines, Avon's 23,000 hectares Forest Kerr Gold Project is located in the heart of the Golden Triangle in northwestern BC. For more information, visit us at avonresources.com.
Grand Portage Resources' Herbert Gold Project in southeast Alaska highlights increased gold resource, indicated and inferred, of 860,000 ounces, in excess of 10 grams per ton gold. Expansion drilling is planned on the Herbert Gold property for the summer of 2019. Grand Portage Resources trading symbols are GPG on the TSX Venture, GPTRF on the OTCQB, and GPB on Frankfurt. For more information, please visit our website, grandportage.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Spencer Fernando. Spencer, how is the People's Party of Canada under Maxime Bernier doing?
They're either 2 or 1% in most of the polls. Bernier's at the back of the pack in terms of preferred prime minister. So, it's not going too well for us.
what could they do to up their profile?
Yeah, that's going to be tough. I mean, when you're a party that only has one elected person at this point, they're facing obviously the problem of most conservative voters, who are the people who generally would be willing to vote for the People's Party. They really want to get Trudeau out, and if they see the People's Party at 1 or 2%, then they see the Conservative Party at 35%. Well, it becomes pretty clear if you want the Liberals beaten and you want a more conservative government to take over, then the Conservative Party of Canada is really the choice. Anything else is going to be splitting the vote. Again, I mean, I'm not really a fan of the splitting the vote argument just because it assumes that political parties are entitled to votes. You know, you have to go out and earn it, so if people vote for the People's Party, that's their choice. And it's not like the Conservatives are entitled to those votes, but I think it's just going to be a tough thing for, you know, even if he's at 4 or 5%, to go and say, hey, vote for me for a new government. It doesn't look like that's going to happen.
Is it pretty typical to say Canadians don't vote for a government, they vote against governments?
Generally, I think that's, you know, in many democracies, that's really the case. Because when you're voting for the opposition, you really have to just take it on faith, whatever they're saying, and most people don't have much faith in politicians. But it gets to the point where they say, well, we've seen enough from this government, we don't like what they're doing, and we'll just roll the dice and take a chance on this new guy and see if he's better. So I think that's really how it goes most of the time.
Are the Liberals going to do their best to demonize the Conservatives in the election campaign?
Yeah, well, I mean, they're already doing that. I mean, Trudeau's trying to pretend somehow that Canada is going through the same abortion issues as the United States. Obviously not. The Conservatives have been clear. Just like they were under Harper, they're not going to reopen the debate. I mean, they had a majority government under Harper. They controlled the Senate. Abortion laws were not changed. So, but Trudeau's doing his best to bring that up. He's talking, you know, climate change, climate emergency now, they're calling it. He's calling Scheer a racist and a bigot and all that kind of stuff, or at least other Liberals are trying to imply that. So, yeah, I mean, it's going to get really ugly. And it's funny because a few months ago, Trudeau said this is going to be the ugliest campaign in a long time. But he's the one making it that way. So, yeah, it's quite interesting.
Jody Wilson-Raybould will run as an independent in the Granville riding in South Vancouver. How is she going to do? Does she have a chance of winning as an independent?
Yeah, I think she has a pretty good chance. A recent poll showed her with either a 3-point lead when just they asked, are you going to vote for her or the other parties generically? And then I think about a 5 or 6 point lead when they asked the actual names of the other candidates along with her name. I mean, the big issue for most independents is they don't have much money and they don't have much name recognition. She has a lot of name recognition. She also has a pretty good political machine behind her because most of the Liberal Riding Association quit the Liberals and went to her. And, I think she's going to be able to raise a good amount of money. So I think it's a rare case of an independent who has a very good chance of getting elected.
What about her, friend Jane Philpott?
I think it might be a little tougher for her. She didn't get quite the national attention that Jody Wilson-Raybould did. She got a fair amount, but I'm not sure her name recognition is as high. Jody Wilson-Raybould obviously had the testimony where she got a lot of attention. Jane Philpott didn't quite get the same. So, we'll see. I mean, I think she'll get a fair amount of votes, but it could be a little tough for her.
We'll have more with Spencer Fernando right after this.
Hi, I'm Douglas Mason, President and CEO of Magnum Gold Corp, MGI and the TSX Venture Exchange. A 2015 drill program on the LH property intersected several high-grade gold intersections, including 11 meters of 20.66 grams per ton gold. Additional drill targets on the LH property have been identified by a 2018 drone airborne magnetic survey to further evaluate a pyrrhotite-enriched gold-bearing system. Please visit our website at magnumgoldcorp.com.
Don't miss out. Stay informed. Receive the HowStreet.com weekly recap with thought-provoking podcasts, radio, and articles delivered to your inbox. Sign up for the HowStreet.com weekly recap on our homepage at HowStreet.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Spencer Fernando. Spencer, how is the CBC National doing with its 4 anchor person format?
Oh, they're not doing too well. I think they're down to about 400,000 viewers. So they've basically gone down, about 20-25% since Mansbridge left. And that's with a whole load more taxpayer money thrown into it. So, and I mean, they're getting less than half the views of CTV National News. So yeah, again, no amount of money can really make people want to watch something they don't enjoy watching. And it seems like the new format is not a big hit with people.
Well, I mean, I know Adrienne Arsenault, who is a great international correspondent, one of the bravest people on the planet with all the wars she's covered. Ian Manahansing, an excellent reporter. All four of those people are excellent reporters, but focusing 10 or 12 minutes on one subject, few subjects actually in the news warrant that kind of attention and national coverage. It's just boring.
Yeah, well, I think really part of the problem is that they're, they focus so much on U.S. news. I mean, you turn on to CBC and often it's exactly the same as what's being talked about on CNN or MSNBC or CBS or ABC News. So you kind of think, this is supposed to be about Canada and what's happening here. Why are they talking so much about the United States? I mean, okay, there's like 50 networks saying they don't like Donald Trump. Does CBC really need to be covering that same kind of stuff again? I would say they shouldn't. They should be focused more on Canadian news, but apparently they've decided to go a different direction. It's not working out too well for them, though.
Veterans, disabled veterans, are they getting the kind of attention and service that they deserve?
No. The government, Trump talked a big game during the 2015 campaign, that he was going to scrap the new Veterans Charter, which was really unpopular, and replace it with the Pensions for Life. But the Pensions for Life was not as much as veterans were getting before, and the original Pension for Life, and many recently disabled veterans are going to get far less. So yeah, there's been a lot of people justifiably upset about that. And again, Trudeau, I don't think he's ever going to really, at least with veterans, live down the comment of you're asking for more than we can afford to give. I mean, just today, Trudeau announced $1.4 billion more to give to foreign countries for, I guess, what he calls equality around the world. How can you not have any money for veterans who served our own country, but you can, out of nowhere, find $1.4 billion to give to other countries? It just makes no sense, right? So obviously he doesn't care. His priorities are in the wrong place. And people notice that, it's not like he's getting away with it. So, veterans are not being taken care of well.
Also another national issue, forest fires. We have the massive Martin Mars, forest fire fighting plane again not being used in Canada. We have massive fires. It's an aircraft that could be modernized, put turboprop engines on it so it would be faster and could carry even more. And yet, no one talks about it. And if people think it's still not an issue, I was just sitting in the pub the other night watching the hockey game, and the men around me were saying, where's the Martin Mars? Why hasn't this been bought by the federal government, upgraded? Because, in Canada, every year we're going to have either floods somewhere or forest fires. So why not use this great national resource?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, it seems like there's some sort of mental problem with a lot of the people in government where it reminds me a bit of Winnipeg. Every year, almost every year, the government says, oh man, we ran out of our snow clearing budget. Oh, what happened? As if they're shocked it's going to snow. What the government should do is say, okay, what's the worst case scenario, for a forest fire, for snow, or whatever disaster? And then what do we need to buy, and what plan do we need to have in place to take care of that worst case scenario? Budget for it so you're ready for it, and if it doesn't happen, then you put that money over into next year so you have even more money. But instead it seems like they're always caught off guard. Oh, there's forest fires. We're totally shocked by this. Oh, there's snow this year. Oh, who could have imagined it would snow in Winnipeg? So yeah, they always seem to be caught off guard by things that just common sense would say they should be prepared for.
Well, we should have a Ministry of National Disasters, and that way you have, the equipment for sandbagging, you have the equipment to fight forest fires, and nationalize it so we have some huge reserve ready to move anywhere in the country at a moment's notice. Just as long as it doesn't happen on a Friday in Ottawa where everybody goes home until late Monday afternoon.
Mm-hmm. Well, hey, maybe that $1.4 billion Trudeau's giving away, maybe that would have been helpful fighting disasters in Canada. But I guess we'll never know.
Well, great talking to you.
Alrighty, take care.
My guest has been investigative reporter Spencer Fernando. You can find his articles at spencerfernando.com. If you have any questions for Spencer, you can send them to info@howstreet.com. That's good for any of our guests. You can find us on Twitter at Talk Digital Network. You can find us on YouTube at Talk Digital Network as well. I'm Jim Goddard. Thanks for listening.
Comments made on the Goddard Report and TalkDigitalNetwork.com are an expression of opinion only. The Goddard Report is available online and mobile at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. The Goddard Report is a production of Howe Street Media Incorporated.